Hello.
Jazz hands.
You guys are on top of me this time. Normally you're like
You
beneath
know.
me. And I'm like, yeah, you stay down there. No,
No, you're holding it. You're the glue. You're holding it
right?
together, man.
Now you're on top of me. This is kind of strange.
You're
Down at
lifting us up.
so, we chatted earlier. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are we? Yeah, we're live. Making sure we were not talking to ourselves and not to the world.
Again.
Yeah, we've done that. uh, some of our best conversations happen during those moments. um, so we talked about the fan email that I got today, and I just wanted to. They were basically asking what my stance was on what's happening in the world, and without getting too detailed into religion, politics, or anything like that, I'm just going to say that I do not support hate speech, violence. So if it's not done with love and peace in someone's heart, then I don't stand besides it. I don't stand with it. I don't support it. So that's all I'm gonna say. So you guys have anything to add to that?
Pretty good sense to have.
Yeah, it's intense. I mean, we can acknowledge everything's just crazy and intense, but this has been a trickle. Like, this is not anything new, really. And this has been happening slowly over time. Just the main, it's finally hit the mainstream, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And those of us that have kind of been in those circles have kind of already acknowledged this for many, many, many years. And I remember getting into arguments with not arguments, disagreements about, like, with other conspiracy theorist types about how we need to tell everybody that when people find all this stuff out, they become evangelists for this thing. And it's not our job to save everybody. But at any rate, I can acknowledge that the conspiracy psychosis is a real thing because I've kind of gone through it in the past. If you're new to this, like, reach out to us. And if it's really disturbing to you guys, which it is extremely disturbing, humans are capable of incredibly horrific things. And if you're just coming to that realization, my heart's with you. It's heartbreaking, but it's the truth. And some of us have been in it and then out of it. And if you need help talking to somebody, reach out to us. And it's cool. We're solid. We're gonna be all right as humans. We're gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get through it.
I think that's the key, though, is that what you just said. We may have been awakened to a lot of this. We talked about earlier, Pizzagate. We're aware, but because it's so loud in your face, there's so much noise right now. For the first time, a lot of people are like, "What? What's going on?" And it's very overwhelming because they didn't, maybe where we knew about it and follow it along over the years, other people may not have. And all of a sudden, seeing it for the first time, it's actual real.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like Gordon said, reach out to us, talk to us. We're not professionals, but if you need an ear, we're here. And I will try to put all our emails in the show notes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All of our socials, HG Traverse, are on all the platforms, and Silenceiscallingyou at Gmail.
Yeah, it'll be all in the show notes.
Easy.
So, yeah. It kind of leads me into like the end of our Djinn episode, the storytelling episode. I talked about, I don't know why it came to me with this one. If you speak it, you feed it. If you name it, you own it. But if you know its true name, you can unmake it. And Chelsea, you seem to like You left a comment earlier, like how you felt something with that. What did you feel?
Yeah, I really liked it a lot because it was even kind of like on the subject where we're talking about, like, I've done a lot of practice of like being like a neutral observer. Yeah, the things that are happening piss me off, but at the same time, I'm for all the deconstruction of everything so we can rebuild anew on top of love. And the last thing that you said, like, tell me the last part.
Let me read it again. If you speak it, you feed it. If you name it, you own it. But if you know its true name, you can unmake it.
And so that for me is kind of like we have to see the ugly to know it and then change it, right? And so for me, that's everything, and I don't need to feed the hate, and I don't need to feed you know the 3D bullshit. I can just observe, know what it is for me, go inside of me, and execute my life accordingly, where I'm good. you know I'm good. I'm doing my thing, and um God bless everyone, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
And you will be too. It's not, we don't have to get enmeshed in all the.
In the noise in the world right now, yeah, we don't have to get involved there. We can keep looking for our inner spark and pushing it out there and helping others. We can't change what's happening in the world. We need to be the change the world needs. That means that we need to assist each other, spread the word. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Hello.
and find ways to
My
do it
my
differently.
director and husband is in the chat. He is in the building. um, so, like, to break down that statement, though, I wrote it. When you speak it, you feed it. Uh, like, if you're constantly complaining or focusing on something like the news all the time and going, "Oh my God," you give that energy in life. So, if you speak it, you feed it. If that makes sense, that's kind of how I wrote. Like, what my intention was when I wrote it. Um, if you name it, you own it. When you identify the problem, like, clearly the news makes me have anxiety or whatever it is, that means you've taken a step towards the accountability. It's yours now. It still exists, but now you own it. It's there.
And you can manipulate your environment to change it.
Mm-hmm. If you know its true name, you can unmake it. My meaning behind that is, this is the root cause. If you realize you do have anxiety, but what's causing it is your fear of abandonment or something from your childhood. Once you really find the source, you can dismantle it, if that makes sense. It's like, look, when you're in your bed at night and you wake up and you look over and you see this giant monster in the corner and you're like, oh my God, what is it? Oh my God. And you're freaking out. You could lay there all night in your head and just be terrified of this monster in the corner. Or you can take your cell phone out and shine a light. That's accountability there. And then realizing, oh, that's just a pile of clothes that I left there from yesterday. So that's kind of the simplified breakdown of how I wrote that. But
It looked like a 6-foot rat, but it was my laundry.
exactly. But like, if you sat in that first point in the fear and just let it just overtake you, then what happens.
Like you mentioned earlier, before we went on, this is the root of our addictions, and like I've purposely over the last few weeks taken at least 2 days off of all social media a week, and trying to just completely be off the phone, just for my own, regulating my own system.
And I hate that I'm not near you guys, because, like, if Gemini disappears, I'm like, Gordon, where's she at? She's okay. I talked to her. I'm like, okay. And then when you go missing, I'm like telling my husband, like, what do I do? Do I call a search party? Gordon's not even answering. Like, and I do. I worry because I can't see you. I can't physically drive by and say, hey, are you okay? So yeah,
But
it
like,
get a little manic sometimes over you guys. So,
well, like we were saying though, if you can find that root problem, the core of your whatever the addiction is, whether it's food or social media or smoking or whatever, or alcohol, you got to find the root cause of why you're disassociating. Because this thing that we're holding, this little machine, this is a form of disassociation when you're scrolling through. I do it too, but as long as you do it mindfully and you're aware of what is happening and what you're taking in, and it's not just a dumping ground of sucking in other people's trauma, you know it's like we've talked about before. You can only be accountable for what you can control, right? We can control ourselves. We can't control other people or how they react, but I can control my nervous system by regulating me and not letting those other energies manipulate me that way. So,
And one thing to really like practice, like, so like, when I'm talking crappy to myself, or, when or I see something, everything that's happening, the root cause would be it makes us feel unsafe. We don't feel safe. So, and so that can send you off in a tailspin. One thing that you can start practicing is give evidence around you of how you are safe. Oh, I have, a bedroom that I can shut the door. That's evidence that you're safe. And then you could be like, well, I'm homeless. I don't have a room. Okay. Well, you're breathing right now and you're walking and you're alive. So that is evidence that you are safe. Any negative entity that you can start tail spinning down, there is evidence for sure around you, at least 5 of them that you can pick out. And that's a brain train. But once you start doing that, you start recognizing when you're in a tailspin, and you can shut that down, and fear is dissolved. It's all gone.
it's funny, Chelsea. Look at this. I found this today. I don't know where this came from. It's an angel card,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
it's Archangel Michael. You are safe.
Oh,
Oh,
wow. Where did you find it? Just
I
like on the ground, or?
I was cleaning out my junk and just going through stuff, and this, I'm like, what is that? And I pulled it out, and Archangel Michael
beautiful
said,
message. That's so
"You-"
funny too, because I just pulled out a candle that I need to light for someone, and it is Archangel Michael
no kidding. Look at that.
that I'll be
Yeah.
doing.
That's cool.
Isn't that
It says,
crazy?
I'll be next to see something like that. I just
I am
keep seeing the
protecting
green
you
numbers.
against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home.
Oh, there you
So
go.
mote it be for real. Like, we are, and even if you're like in Uganda in a war-torn situation, you know, thy will be done. Like, it'll always be the way that's supposed to be, and you are safe regardless.
I haven't seen any angels like that, but I just keep seeing the number 54 over and over. It's in my shower, it's in my dreams, and I'm like, what the hell does it mean? I don't know. 54. I'm like, I'm not 50 yet, so what does it mean? I don't know. I hadn't
I'm
had time
54 right
today to
now.
look. Huh?
I'm 54 right now.
Maybe that's the connection then. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's you. I don't know. But it's screaming at me like for days now. I don't know what it means, but everywhere I go. The microwave this morning in my office said 5-4. I'm like, what the hell? I haven't used it in a couple days either, so strange. Um, anyway, so to end that idea, if you speak it, you feed it, you name it, you own it. But if you know its true name, you can unmake it. Speaking it in simplistic terms is like you're looking at a monster in the corner of your room in the dark. Naming it, turn on the light. And then truly owning it is realizing the monster is just an old coat hanging on the door. So what started this conversation recap when somebody wrote in about like what we stand on, how we feel or view the chaos in the world right now, and melting down of people on the internet. We're not going to melt down over here. That's why we're saying what we're saying. See things for what they truly are. That's a monster in the corner. It's nothing that's actually going to harm you. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So breathe, everyone. Chill. And with that, let's move on to the Djinn. Yeah. So, Gordon, do you have like a good explanation of what you think the Jinn? How do you define them?
Uh, they're I, I I think it's a different race
Mm,
of entities. Like you've if you want to go through your little
my
slide thing, like
actual
that.
definition, a simplified definition for those who may not know much about the Jinn. Um, I guess you're right. Like they're how do I put it? Okay, I have to go back to my notebook now. I actually do old school notes, you guys. Write pencil and paper. Uh, I know it's strange, but
I prefer it that way.
yeah, me too. Ancient beings made of smokeless fire. Essentially, they are energy. They're here before humans. They have their own religions, laws, and families. They occupy the unseen parts of the world. So um, I believe they're still here. I just think we can't see them. If you even listen to the actual episode, what is it like 35 100ths or something of our eyes that we can only see. I don't have it in my notes.
Yeah, why don't you explain that to the people?
Uh, I don't know how to explain that. Okay, so my analogy, my Anne's analogy here to simplify it. Imagine you're in a room with a radio, okay, like old school radio where you have to turn the knob to dial, right? You can't see the radio waves, right? I've never seen a radio wave. We can't see them. But when you turn the knob, the dial, music is there. So just because we can't see the waves of the Jinn doesn't mean that they're not there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because our eyes can't see. So the Jinn are the music, like their music on a different station that we're not tuned into. um, so there was something else I said in here, like
Yeah, and I see it right here. Like Anne talked about, if there was a road right through the United States from probably coast to
right.
coast,
So, but it would be made up of the entire spectrum of light. So the
right?
radio waves to gamma rays, if those were a 3,000-mile road across the United States, the visible light we would see would be less than like the width of a single human hair.
That's
So,
insane. That's insane.
so we're basically blind. So we live I guess in my belief, we live in this realm of where we're just blind, and all these other probably entities and creatures are looking at us like we're dumb.
And this is supposed to be reality, right?
Yeah,
Which
no,
we
they're in
cannot
reality.
see at
They're
all.
all. Can you imagine like unicorns and fairies? Like, God, humans are so dumb.
Well, they probably have a lot of grace, but we're probably like very childish to them. We can't even,
Mhm.
regardless of all that, there's more out there than what we just see right now. And that is, I don't know, it speaks volumes.
Mhm. Um, so we're essentially blind to 99.9% of reality happening around us. So who's to say like the civilization of the Jinn is not like occupying the infrared or the ultraviolet areas that we can't see? Gordon, your thoughts?
Yeah. That's so. A couple things. First of all, that's what always fascinates me with the animal world. Like when cats and dogs like look out into, like, they're clearly focusing on something, but you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it always
Hmm.
makes me wonder, like, what are they seeing? Not only spirits, but
Yeah.
like what's between the spirits? What's between us and the spirit? Like, there's whole sections of vibration that we can't hear, see, touch. The other thing is the fact that they say they're made of smokeless fire kept coming up in my head today when I was thinking about it as plasma. Like, that's plasma.
Makes
Like
sense. I
when you
kind of
see
thought that
fire,
too.
yeah, it doesn't burn up. When you see a plasma ball, it just is, and it's like fire,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but you
So,
can't really see it.
mm-hmm. Like it burns so hot, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, like, think of reality like a giant radio dial that starts at one and ends at 1 million, you know? Right now, humans, like our eyes are stuck on station 101.5. It's all we can tune into. We see the walls, the floor, and each other. But just because we're listening to 101.5 doesn't mean that the station's 94.1 or 104.7. And if these are real stations, forgive me, I'm just using numbers. That doesn't mean that they're not broadcasting at the exact same time in the same room. We just are only tuned in to one. That makes sense?
Right.
So yeah, I think that, I mean, some of us see things like me, like I see weird stuff all the time. Like I feel like somebody's running towards me. I turn and there's no one there. I mean, I don't know if my frequency is just a little different, but you know. So
I think those of us in this room can relate to that for sure.
yeah. So maybe our frequency is tuned to, like, I don't know, if you've ever turned the radio. I mean, some people maybe have never used a radio. I think most people we know would have, but maybe I would imagine my youngest child has never actually used a tuning radio because it's kind of not a
Mhm.
thing, you know? It's kind of weird to think about. He's 17. Why would he? You know, that's in the world of, phones and digital things. Um, but if you've ever tuned a radio and you're like at 101.5 and then you're also hearing 105.1 and you're hearing the two, so perhaps some of us have the ability to see and hear both stations. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think and everyone does. It's just, are you willing to pay attention? Are you willing to grow that? It's accessible, to everyone, but it's a lot easier for others, especially like if you like, I don't know, like I feel like if you believe, then it's almost easier to see.
I agree.
Mm.
If you don't believe and you're totally skeptical, how are you going to see?
If you're not looking up, you're never going to see an unidentified flying object in the sky.
You, we
Also,
just need
regardless
to.
if you believe or not. So,
Mhm. I agree. Like if you're a skeptic, you're not going to ever see it. You know.
or if you don't slow down, or look at
Mm.
the clues. Like even just right now, what happened in the room. I was on some tangent about being safe, and yesterday I was doing my thing with Archangel Michael, and then Gordon has like boom, and that is a synchronicity. That's like just that happens in these realms, and the whatever the 99% that we cannot see.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Mr. V. Eddie on the go. His travel channel. You guys go check that out. He is a former host and producer of Unexplained Realms. He is in the house.
Welcome.
Mr. V.
Hello.
Yeah, so Unexplained Realms wouldn't be what it is or who it is or how it is without that man. When I wanted to start it, I wanted to do it. He was like, do it. I'm like, I don't know how, just do it. I don't know how, just do it. And we have Jean Marie
How's
Winfield.
Marie?
Hello, Miss Jean Marie.
Hey.
Yeah, so good to
Hello.
see you. I hope you enjoy our rambling because it's kind of what we do over here. We go long periods of time without having like face to face conversations. And then when we get on here with the intention of doing a discussion episode, we're just like, it's like the three of us on a three-way call, rambling. Remember the 4-hour TikTok live we did last month?
That just went everywhere. It just spiraled
Yeah, it was wild.
all over the place.
Literally, I still keep trying to download that because it's so big. I was
Maybe it was
cooking in the
just for us.
kitchen. It was like, it's just crazy. But yeah, that's how we are. That's what we do. We spiral. So this time I have show notes and we're trying desperately to stay in that.
Good luck.
So,
Yeah.
and I do have a question. And in her show notes, she has like this table of Djinn, and I was interested at how did you come across the different factions of Djinns and their attitude towards humans?
First, Jean Marie said, "It's nice. I know HD, so I thought I would pop on. I can totally relate." So she's saying,
Yay.
thanks for the
Glad you're
comment.
here.
So the table. Oh man, I wish I could. I wonder if I could share my screen. I'm a nerd, you guys. You know this, but to anybody listening, I am now back in college at almost 50 to collect my third bachelor's degree in computer science. I'm that much of a nerd. I enjoy it so much. So whenever I do something, I have to like put tables together and spreadsheets, and Chelsea and Gordon are like, what the hell? But I think it helps, right? The
No, it
table,
helps.
yeah. So basically, you have different factions of Jinn, right? This first episode that I did was about the Merid, and they are like, I guess you would call them like the CEOs or the Greek gods of the Jinn world. They're massive, they're powerful. They think they're way better than humans. They look down at humans. We are insignificant to them. They believe we were just because in the Quran it says that humans were made of clay or like mud. I don't remember what the translation is, like mud or clay. So this faction of Jinn is like, how do you expect me to share a world or a reality or a realm with a creature made of mud? So that's how they see us, the Merid.
We're fire. They're dirt folk.
Pretty much,
I
yeah.
get it.
Apparently, there's prejudice and racism in
Mhm.
every realm. So,
What was
um,
really interesting about the episode too, that they have, and I've heard this before, but they had whole ancient societies that, like you mentioned, they have a religion, they have their own philosophies and things like this, and these are whole civilizations that we're we still struggle to understand our own. Like we don't even know what happened 200 years ago. Like history keeps resetting itself, and our collective memory is only like 50 years. Like maybe 100 if we're lucky, right?
right.
And I shared that um, story with you guys in the group chat of the people who there was a program in the late 30s during the New Deal where they were trying to get uh, people to write down their stories, right? And how history has changed of what we remembered and what we've been taught as to what these people remembered. They actually lived through it. Like our own history is that sketchy. We don't
Mhm.
have any idea that I didn't know that a whole bunch of other towns burnt down the same day that the Chicago fire happened. Um,
Mm.
like these are all things that, and if you check on it, that really happened. But we didn't. I wasn't taught that. I, I barely remember that the Chicago fire happened. The only reason I knew that is because that disco hit. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Chicago died. You guys remember that song?
Oh yeah. Um, yeah. That's
You
Mhm.
know, way before you.
yeah. Oh yeah. She is our young queen, but
Yeah.
we educate her as well as best we can. She's sometimes I would feel bad because she's like, huh? Jean Marie said to you, Gordon, exactly. It's all opinion. Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of it is opinion. But that video you sent where the person was writing everything they knew, and it's like at that point everything kind of stops because if you're just reading, she said, choice and hearsay. Jean Marie, yeah, I agree. Eric, Bad Bee, hi crew, listening in while
Hey, Eric.
making dinner again. Them Jinn are all hoity-toity. Yes, some of them are. Yeah, I think they all are. They all think that humans are dumb.
I don't
Jean,
believe that. I'm always devil's advocate. I don't believe that.
Jean
Because
Marie,
there
I
are
think all
some
of them
gyms
do.
that do
can
work
you
with
guys see those
humans.
comments so
Oh,
that you
that's cool.
can
Yeah,
see
now I
them
can see it.
answer yourself? So that way,
So,
sorry, I don't have to like read your comments. um, anyway, yeah, no, I thought that was really wild. That how do I put it? That at one point history, like Jean Marie said, became hearsay. Like the last person that knew of whatever was going on, they're gone. So we're just assuming.
Yeah, I think also that understanding, like, there's a if if Jinn are like human, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of them as well. Like, I don't think that they think we're stupid is universal either.
Mhm.
They have their own experiences like we do.
Right. It's just like most of the research I read was like them describing Jinn, again, somebody's opinion, um, talking about how the Jinn thought that humans were insignificant and that they just, we don't want to associate with them. They're mud people.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I have
um,
a witchy friend of Middle Eastern background, and so she works with the jinn a lot, and she talks about how one of her experiences was actually really interesting. That I learned a couple things from her that in their culture it is known that the jinn can hang around in their bathrooms because of the water. and
Mm.
um and then one thing had happened. She does do spell work, so she was doing her thing, and she does this for other people, but so she calls in her guide, part of her guides that are the jinn, and she was saying, thank you, like we're always, kind of taught to be grateful and gratitude and pay it forward. And she said she was like just doing her prayers, and she had said, thank you, I love you. And she was like, just the slip of the tongue, like with what you say matters. The jinn instantly became in love with her, like inappropriately so,
Mm.
got attached to her in a love way, because he was basically saying, oh, no one's ever told me that before, no human has ever told me that before, and started getting really attached to her and was making things weird in the home. And so, that created a whole process. So it's like they, like with any entity, I guess, or egregore that you may work with, you have to be careful with what you say, and you never
that
know, who they are, what their experience is.
that
No.
reminds me of like we go back to the table of the different factions. It reminds me of the Jan Jinn. They're
Hmm.
called the Jan. They're the desert travelers known to help travelers who show them respect. Often are the first contact between like human and Jinn worlds, and they're more like the social butterflies, helpful, neutral. So maybe that's what she encountered, because the rest of them are
Mhm.
kind of bad. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like that, and I've shared this experience with you guys, and I think I've shared it on shows before with you, but the one of the when I have seen what I think might have been a jinn was
Mhm.
that shadow snake thing going through the desert. Um, I had like I don't know I don't necessarily think that jinn are demons, like, necessarily, but if
I
it's a
agree with you.
spectrum, it's a spectrum of entity. Like, we are part of that spectrum as well. But um if it is a spectrum, like, I've when I encountered that thing, it was a so I'll just recap. I was walking through the desert one night, and I could see through the out of the corner of my eye this thing going through like a gauntlet of choya, and it looked like a snake, like a shadow snake that was kind of like swooping through the
And
in
huge, like this
it,
was
it was
huge
huge. Yeah, it was
across
like,
yards, right?
yeah, it was maybe like 30 feet, maybe a length, but it was like kind of going in and out like a, but the movement reminded me of like a coolie loach. If you ever had freshwater eels in your freshwater tank, or a water dragon, it looked like that to me.
Well, that's what I was
Um,
thinking too. I think it also could have been a dragon too,
yeah, I
of
mean,
the desert or something.
it could have been, yeah. But the the reason I kind of relate it to the Jan versions of the Jinn is because I I wasn't it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, wow, this is something I need to respect. And I took that time to like acknowledge it and say, yes, I acknowledge you. You're here. I respect you. You respect me. Like, can I go home? I mean, because it was kind of in the path, you know. So it's like,
I'm not
but
an
I
expert or anything, but I 100% believe that that's what you saw because they let me go back to my researcher. They often help travelers who show them respect. So, like, if you're like, okay, wait, I know what this is, or I think this is what it is, I'm showing you some respect. It didn't harm you. It didn't do anything. You know, it's like, oh, you. That's what they want. They want to be like respected because they think that we're beneath them. So that's a cool thing, though. I bet you did see one.
I think I think more people see them than you think. Like we're trained to dismiss those things in our experience. Like, oh, that was
Mm-hmm.
just a floaty in my eye, you know. But
Hmm.
when you feel like a power, like it felt powerful. Like when you're around something, like you guys have been in haunted rooms where there was like a heavy feel, you know, and
Hmm.
um when you're in the presence of power, real power, like spiritual power, like you sit yourself back. Like it
Have some reverence, have
adds some
respect.
reverence. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word. Exactly.
Because I don't think it's so much as they see us, beneath them or dumb. It's like we're not at that level of gnosis, literally. We don't know what we don't know, or we're very limited or blind here. We came here to become blind, essentially, and they are not. And so it's like any elder or teacher, you show a little bit of respect, they know a little bit more than we do. That's why I love these types of elements or entities because they carry so much knowledge, even if you were to say like the bad Djinn, or demons or whatever, like I don't really think it's really that black and white. There's
Mm.
still a lot to learn from them.
They're definitely not demons. None of the research. I mean, I guess some people these days would attribute them as demons, but they're not demons. Most of the research,
Right.
even in the translations of the Quran, they're not described as demons. There are what they describe as, I guess, bad ones. Like obviously, the Merid is the first. They're like the CEOs, so they're the big gods, and then the Jan is kind of down there on the table. But then the Ifrit, and I could be saying that wrong. Ifrit, they're like the fiery rebels. They're like the biker outlaws of the Jinn. And I don't mean to disrespect the Jinn when I say this. I'm just trying to simplify it for anybody that doesn't know anything about this, if that makes sense. So they're all like the biker outlaws who are just wanting to start a problem. They just want to fight people all the time. They're looking to cause a fight. So
So they're like
they're
people.
yeah, their personality is cunning and rebellious, and their attitude towards humans is malicious and hostile. So whereas the Merid very indifferent, like people, they're just mud people. They're indifferent to us. Where these guys are straight up hostile. Like they're the biker bar of the Jinn. Stay away from them. um,
And what are they called? Ifris?
the
What Ifrit?
Ifrit, Ifrit. They're very rebellious. Rebellious overall is as far as in the Jinn itself. And I think I haven't gotten to too much research about like their laws and their communities and whatnot, but I think that that's kind of the reason for those rules within the Jinn world because you have rebels just like you have in humans. So there's got to be some kind of rules,
And they call these the groups tribes, right?
huh?
They call these different categorizations like tribes.
Yeah, they're like tribes within. Yeah, that's the only word that I've found that was translated out. Like a lot of the research is not from like I went to the library and picked up a book. It was from like ancient texts that were translated. So when you're and I've told you this before, sometimes I have to lay things out like multiple books, like try to figure out what the hell they're saying because translation is just plus in those years way back in the day the language was different. Like if
Mm.
somebody translated it into an English form, they may be using English words that I'm not even accustomed to. That makes sense.
Hmm.
I don't know certain things and I have to go look it up and it takes me forever. So um, yeah, so the Merid, they're element, they're like elementals. So they are the element of water, which is strange because they're the most mighty. But I guess water would be the most powerful, maybe. What do you think? As an
Mm.
element?
Yeah. I mean, the evidence, that we see is like the ocean, and they talk about like the void being like an ocean, and it holds so much intelligence, it holds so much life.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Yep. And then the Ifrit, their element is fire, which obvious reasons. They're fiery, they want to fight everybody, they're angry all the time. That's their element. The Merid, their home is the deep sea, which kind of makes sense, I
Mm.
think. And the Ifrit, their home is in ruins, like they live in the ruins. I guess anywhere you would find ancient ruins. I can't think of any on the top of my head right now.
Mm.
Um,
Egypt, Greece.
the Jan live, they're earth element, so that's what they are. And that makes sense why they're a little more friendly, because they're an earth element. And then their home is the desert, which is why I found that your story, I completely believe that you saw a Jan.
Yeah, it feels like that. As soon as I read that, the desert and helping travelers and like they just want to be acknowledged, that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, so I think that's what you encountered in the desert. They're social, they're common, helpful, and neutral. So let's move on to another few that are, and I don't think that these are the only Jinn. These are the only ones that I could find that stood out. I think under the tribes or other small factions and stuff like that. But for the point of the one episode, I was like, I have to stop at one point, or else I'm never going to write the episode. So, otherwise, I'll be in like research mode for weeks if I let myself. So, I have to stop at one point. um, so the next one is the ghoul, and they're flesh eaters, predatory. I would say not like they're gonna fly up in your face and bite your cheek, flesh eaters, but humans are food for them. They hang out in graveyards or lonely places. So, like, I wouldn't say in the physical way that they're gonna eat you, but maybe they eat from our sadness, or because they hang out in graveyards and lonely places. So, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, the
I mean,
word is just interesting too, goal. Like that is something that's also
Mhm.
been that we use here quite often, to depict something coming out of a graveyard,
Mhm.
the hand through the grave and looks all
Mhm.
ghouly, so that's pretty interesting to me
That
too.
word, I don't think was something that was new. I think it was something that was really old and used to describe something like that. Their element is decay, and their home is graves. The
mm,
personality, like with the translation, the personality was bestial and predatory. So I'm not sure bestial, like an animal hunting you down, or and I don't
Wild,
quite understand that.
wild,
Maybe wild, yeah, maybe.
that's
feral.
really interesting. Have you guys ever seen the movie version of Ghost Rider
Yeah.
when the prince demon has his like henchmen and one
Mhm.
of them is decay and
Oh
one of them
yeah.
is water, like
Ooh.
they're
So kind
elemental?
of like they went along with the Jinn idea of
Maybe.
like elementals. Yeah, interesting. I mean, like nowadays, I guess it's entertaining. So people use these mystical characters from our past to make movies and entertain us. So,
Well, they say there's only 7 stories and we're just retelling them. over and over again, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I
Uh,
see that with our shows a lot.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Joe Marie mentions, we are mostly water. That is
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder if we encounter those jinn, if we're on that kind of, if it's a vibrational thing, and we are
We
mostly water. I wonder if we encounter those that are associated with water a little more than um, the other ones, especially fire.
maybe.
Because we might be on that
Mhm.
vibration. Like I spend all the time in the desert all the time, so it makes
Mhm.
sense that I would see a desert jinn.
Right, because you gravitate to that. Yeah.
Right.
Um, Now, there's one last one, and then I want to recircle back to something that I said in the show about how to get rid of a jinn once one has attached itself to you. Not like the way of a demon, but something different. So the last one is the Sila. They're the masters of disguise, like expert shapeshifters. They appear in female form oftentimes, sometimes even marrying into human families in disguise, unpredictable but overtly hostile, more hostile than the Ifrit. Again, I wanted to research so much more, and in weeks and months to come, like the whole Jinn category will evolve on the show. I'll tell more stories of each tribe. But that was so interesting to me. They marry into humans, into human families. So you never know. You could be married to a Jinn. Sometimes I think that of my husband, but
Mm.
just joking.
Is he a helpful neutral one? Is he a Jan?
Uh, yeah, I would say so. I'm the Ifrit.
Malicious and hostile.
Sometimes. No, not really. But anyway, yeah, no, that I thought that was interesting. So I think that when I do another episode in that category, I think I'm going to dive into the Sila because marrying into human families while in disguise, that sounds interesting.
It is interesting, like the correlation with folklore that goes along with
Hmm.
some of this stuff too. There, like you've even done shows on spirit beings that have become like either succubus or what was it Japanese or Thai story that you did where the
Oh,
woman
oh God, what was that? I want to say Philippines, maybe I can't remember.
Philippines, right?
I think it was a Philippine story. The fan had written in and requested me to do it. So, she was a ghost wife. Like she died, and then she couldn't leave her husband, so she attached herself to him. Like everywhere he go, and he was terrified. I mean, he loved his wife, but he's like, hey, "You're a ghost. Go away," And
Wow.
he ended up. I don't remember how that one ended, but yeah, it's the ghost wife. Go look it up, YouTube, Spotify,
It
whatever.
also sounds like sirens too, like them like
Mhm.
singing into the mermaids kind of thing where they're
Mhm.
singing sailors to their deaths and that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And like we said, there's only really like 7 stories in the world. So we're just telling the same story from different perspectives. So yeah,
Hmm.
very possible. But yeah, I definitely want to re get into the Sela once I do another Jin episode. And they are air element and their home is in the water, not necessarily like the deep sea, like the Merid, water, like puddles or any running water, any water.
Toilet.
Maybe,
Bathroom.
maybe they're very intelligent and they're meddlesome. They just want to cause like little problems, like little gremlin problems.
I know people like that.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's where I'm gonna go open up this thing. That's the thing about the jinn, though. They're not like demons in a sense where they possess you. They just attach themselves to you. I gotta go find it in my writing now. My brain is starting to kind of like wither. It's been a long day. Um, so let's see. Um, So there was the one guy who opened the bottle and let the Djinn out, and he attached himself and whispered in his ear like intrusive thoughts for the rest of his life. Then
That sounds like demonic oppression.
right, but I mean, yeah, to rid yourself of a Marid, you because when they attach themselves, it's horrible. You have to understand that you're not just dealing with a ghost; they're like a primordial ego, and that's why I say, in simplistic terms, they think we're dumb because they're so full of ego. I can imagine them like, oh God, humans. Um, you can't just scare it away though. You have to break its tether to your reality. Some people would carry iron ore, and that I guess would you put it under your
Mm,
pillow? What? Go ahead.
interesting.
Mm,
That's really interesting. I just heard it. That guy Nathaniel Gillis. I shared that with you. He mentions carrying a raw iron cross because
yeah.
of that.
Is it okay to shout her podcast out? Because I enjoyed that episode. Yeah. Um,
Cosmic Salon is
Cosmic
rad.
Salon,
Like
yeah. I really enjoyed that episode and that particular guy. I felt like I was hearing myself talk. Like we share the same ideas. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, the iron ore. So yeah, if you guys like all this kind of stuff, go check out Cosmic Salon. I think they're on uh, Spotify and YouTube and all that, right?
yep. Hosted by Nish. It's on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I think she puts clips on YouTube, but
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly Apple
Good
Podcasts
stuff.
and Spotify, I think.
I
Pretty
unfortunately,
underground.
yeah, I work unfortunately a day job, so I have a headphone in and I listen to her show. So good stuff. Um, so where were we? Oh, the iron ore. Yeah. So he did talk about that in that episode. Um, so apparently it has to be unpainted, unworked, like never used, and it acts like a lightning rod, forcing the Merid's energy out of the 3D space and back into the hidden dimension, the one we can't see.
That's interesting because I'm just thinking of like other folklore. There's two things that just kind of come to mind. It's like if you want to keep like fairies and gnomes out of your garden, like people put, iron things in their garden, but also like think of a cemetery, like to keep the spirits in, they have like the iron gate. And I've
Mm,
seen like people try to like trap ghosts or keep ghosts out of the house by putting iron at the four corners of the cornerstone of the home. So it's like there's something to this iron story.
Like in
oh, for sure.
mausoleums, like in like New Orleans and those types of cemeteries, they have iron around the mausoleums a lot of times. So could be something to that.
Yeah.
It's a witchcraft thing too. Putting across railroad spikes, taking railroad
Mhm.
spikes and making crosses with them.
Hmm.
It's kind of strange. My grandfather was a railroad worker when the railroad was built in California. So we didn't have a railroad until his crews, like the company he worked with, built him, right? So for years, like he would give us spikes from the original railroad of California.
Oh,
I have a
that's
billion of them.
cool.
I have iron ore and piece of the tracks and a lot of family members, and if they're ever watching, I don't care if they get mad, but a lot of family members would get really upset, like, oh, I didn't get left money or I didn't get this possession, and I was like, I have a freaking stake from the original railroad, and to me that was like worth $1 million. My grandfather gifted it to me as a teenager, and I've always kept it. I actually keep it in my sock drawer. I don't just a spot to put it in. It's such a cool piece of history and worth more than millions. So
That is cool.
yeah. Anyway, where were we? Okay, so in the story, I talk about iron ore. Um, a Merid gains power through your fear and your recognition of it. It's like, oh, so you do see me and you're scared. And that's where its power comes from. To banish it, you must perform a ritual of unnaming. This would involve a specialized practitioner, and I couldn't pronounce that kind of practitioner's name, so I didn't say it. You can look it up later. Who they use specific recitations designed to shatter the Djinn's vibrational hold.
Hmm.
So
That's
interesting.
cool.
Huh. I wonder
Don't
if
ever.
it's like, I wonder if it works like sound canceling, like noise canceling. You know how noise canceling headphones, it sends out the opposite frequency, right, to cancel it out. I wonder if those kind of recitations like kind of jog
Maybe,
the opposite vibration to
maybe.
cancel it out. Oh, interesting.
So, um, but back to the where we can't see. I think that part was really interesting in the Merid episode because it's like once you can see it, and it realizes like, oh, you can now see me. It uses your fear to gain more power. So, uh, strange how someone would arrive at a place that they could see them when we are literally humans perceive about, I don't know how to say the words without reading it somewhere. So the number is 0.0035%. That's all we can see of the electromagnetic spectrum. Is that weird to you? Doesn't that seem weird?
Hmm. It is weird.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
But if
Like you
we
say,
go
we're
back to
blind.
like, yeah, we're literally blind in this universe. But if we go back to our Gnostic teachings, everybody fly over to the Gnostic episode. It's 20 minutes long. Um, and we choose, our souls choose to come here blind. So, Mr. V, when we were in Bath, so they went to Bath, Maine on a trip a while back. His girl Hope and her friend who worked for the USSD took me to an old cemetery and I saw iron fencing around a few of the really old graves. Yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Back to what we're talking about.
Oh yeah,
Possibly to protect from spirits or Djinn or who knows.
that's a good point. You know, there's a lot of the 1800s graveyards around here in the ghost towns. You'll still see like a lot of the stuff is kind of fallen apart and degraded, but the railing, there's iron railing around individual graves. That is interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
That's very interesting. You guys, anybody listening, anybody catching this on the replay, go over to Eddie on the Go. He's traveled from different countries within the country of the United States. Lots of fun travel videos, especially recommending like restaurants and places to go. So check him out. Former producer of Unexplained Realms. All right, back to what we can't see. Where was that? I lost my spot. So anyway, we choose as souls, if you look at it from the Gnosis perspective, the Gnostic perspective, our souls choose to come here and completely be blind and forget everything. And what I've understood is that wherever we are prior to this, we're looking down, we're like, I want that lifetime. That one's the hardest. It looks like it's going to be the most challenging, uh, I think it was this year on my birthday. My sisters and my mom and I think my kids, we all went out to dinner, like our early dinner. And my sisters were saying something about, oh, I know why I chose this life. If I was that soul, I know why. And right in that moment, I was like, I had no clue. I was like, I had no clue. I was like, I think I was walking along in the clouds and I freaking fell off and poof, here I am, right? I don't know. It was within the last few months. Few of the guests, the surprising guests, some of the really amazing guests that came on, just the conversations with them. I woke up one day and I thought, I know why I'm here. I know why I chose this life. And I think I
Wow, that's
arrived
huge.
at where I'm supposed to be. So now making changes to make sure I can continue the direction I need to be in, if that makes sense.
Good for you. That's amazing. That's
That's
Mhm.
cool.
a lot of
Yeah.
work, you know?
Yeah. But I think it's just I clearly chose this life so that one day I would wake up and I would remember. And like the light bulb came on, like I now know the secrets here. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So weird, but So anyway, where are we at? So the
Love that
smoky
for you. Oh,
mirror.
wait, I did want to say one thing really quick
Mhm.
about how, you know, it also seems like when we're not paying attention that we can see those other realms. And this kinetic doctor talked about how, like, you know, he could be looking at the TV or something and he could see his deceased wife sitting next to him. But if he looked over there, he could not see her anymore. But it has to do something with like the peripheral and not focusing on something that allows you to access it even more, which is crazy because when do most people say something? Oh, I seen something out of the corner of my eye. Was it
That
there?
makes
Was it not there?
that makes I see it all the time. I feel like people are running towards me and I'm like, what the hell? And then there's nothing there. So I mean I believe in that. So
Well, for our energy body, if our energy body is that torsion field that could be as big as 10 feet around us,
mhm.
like I felt like somebody was, you know, like when you feel like somebody's watching you,
Oh
like
yeah.
you're like, and you look and you're like, that person looking at me, you know, you can feel it,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
you can also feel the presence of somebody when they walk into the room before you actually look at them.
And
Like that happens.
for me, I feel all of those things, but I also
Yeah.
can feel when someone's thinking about me.
Hmm.
Like
Thoughts are a
moments,
frequency.
maybe 5 or 10 minutes before somebody calls me, I feel them like they're standing right next to me. Then the phone rings, and I'm like, oh, well, hello. So very strange. We're like you, Gordon. Chelsea, you and I, we don't really connect all the time. We're always so busy. But Gordon, moments before you message me, I feel you. Like, boof,
Mm.
he's there. And then I'm like, oh, well, there's a message. There he
Oh,
is.
that's crazy.
I think that Chelsea just needs to like text me more often.
Yeah, I've been MIA. It's kind of what we talked about earlier. It's like where I
Right.
don't look at my phone. I try to, it like hurts my brain physically.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I could just be your pen pal. We'll use good old U.S. mail. Get a letter from
I
me.
would love that.
I'm gonna do it. Watch.
I love that.
Even
You guys are
better.
going to be getting a package pretty soon at your address for the two of you.
Oh, yes. The
Yeah.
Midnight Parliament.
And
Nice.
I saw John Marie. Are you still in here? If you're still in here, I did notice that she is now a subscriber. So
Where's our money?
DM me or Gordon your address, and then you will get 2 stickers: one for Unexplained Realms and one for Parliament. Can't talk. So
Oh,
Yay.
cool. That's
yeah.
nice.
So anybody that subscribes to the subscription series on YouTube will get 2 stickers. And for a limited time, when tier 3 goes up and live, if you subscribe to tier 3, you'll get a coffee cup, 2 stickers, and some goodies that I might throw in. So, because tier 3 is the big one. This particular discussion thing that we're doing, it's like the Thirst for Truth Thursday, like our Thirsty Thursday, you know? So we're looking for the truth behind the Djinn here. Eventually, we'll become behind the paywall on YouTube as well. So we'll have a bunch of series behind the 3rd tier. You'll have Midnight Parliament, Gordon's, and when I'm forced Chelsea's hand at her own series, it'll be behind there too. And if someone subscribes to that, you'll get my meditation series. I've only got one in there. I'm editing another one. Should have it. The light body meditation will be in there soon. But if you're on tier 3, you'll have everybody's and you'll get special gifts. You'll also get to jump into these chats with us like this. Like you'll just be invited. So,
Yeah, and we want to do more live stuff too, like where
mm-hmm,
we can spend time with you guys in
mm-hmm,
real time.
mm-hmm. Because it's hard when we're recording and then we put it up and we have to answer you later. But time zones are hard, and I work like a slave, so you know. um, anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the smoking mirror. I took put that in the notes. There's a legend that says in the world of the Djinn. Sorry, I have to use my notes here. In the world of the Djinn, the smoking mirror was a tool they used. It was like black glass to cross from the smokeless fire frequency into our visible reality. So they
Who
had
used
like
the glass? The Djinn use the glass?
yes, to
Oh,
get, and this kind of ties into how like some of them would like attach themselves to you because they could cross through with this black mirror. Um, it
Which is
wasn't.
crazy because we do that. Humans use
Mhm.
grinding obsidian all the time.
So Dr. John Dee, he was, I don't know, like an astrologist or something back in the day.
He was the
Oh, he was
astrologer to
for
Queen
Queen Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yes,
He was
Queen
the
Elizabeth.
magician for the crown.
He had something called the Aztec obsidian mirror. Okay, obsidians I'm obsessed with, so I want one. I want an obsidian mirror. But anyway, he was a famous occultist, Queen Elizabeth's astrologer. He used that mirror, to communicate with what he said were angels, spirits. But many Middle Eastern scholars argued that he was actually communicating with the jinn.
Why did they think that versus what he thought he was? Did you?
I I think that based on his descriptions of what he was communicating and what he was communicating with, they kind of said, well, that doesn't sound like a regular ghost. It sounds like this. So again, I had to stop the research somewhere. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got that episode. I would have been spiraling still.
Interesting. But then again, it's like, with the Keys of Solomon, they were in the Middle East, so
Mhm.
all these things that we think are,
And
makes them could have
Solomon,
been gender.
I wanted to bring that. I'm glad you brought that up. The Lesser Key of Solomon and the whole Goetia thing. The So the lore is that King Solomon built the temple with by controlling. In the Bible, it says controlling demons, and in I think in the Epic of Gilgamesh, I think is part of it. I think they name it as Djinn, but like as it's translated and into our Western culture, we call it something different. But there is this idea that Goetia is that practice of controlling the spirits with what's the word? I mean, it's incantations, but they compel them instead
Mhm.
of working with them. It's the practice of forcing this thing to do its bidding for you. And part of
Crazy.
the lore is that the temple in Jerusalem, the original temple, was built by the Jinn under the direction of King Solomon.
I'm not surprised if you caught the reference King Solomon in the episode, the story episode. He had to stop them because they were building a ladder of smoke to get to the angels and eavesdrop on them. So he had to stop them. Now I have to go back. I can't remember how he stopped them, but
Which is interesting because remember that Bible story where supposedly we built stairs to try to get to heaven and
Right. That's
we all
the Tower of
spoke the
Babel,
same language.
which is named King Nimrod did that, and he was. There's a whole
Yeah.
other thread that can go down on a
It
whole
gets
different
deep.
thing.
Yeah, I was about to say more, but I was like, no, we're trying to stay
Yeah,
on
I don't
topic.
want to. I gotta stick with Jinn
like
right
I
now.
said, sometimes
This
you
is
just
gonna
have
be
to
one of
cut
those
it off.
spirals.
Like this is where we go for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? I'm surprised TikTok didn't kick us off that time. Like we literally talked for over 4 hours.
That's
I think
crazy.
I made a whole ass dinner and it was in my kitchen. I mean,
Tamales,
yeah,
dozens of tamales.
I made like
Oh yeah.
tamales while we were hilarious. Anyway, so in that episode, uh, they were fighting they were built a ladder of fire to eavesdrop on the angels. Um, Legend says it took the wisdom of King Solomon to finally break them. He used a ring forged of brass and iron to trap the Merid in vessels, sealing them with a geometric mark that acted as a spiritual cage. This is why you find these stories in Egypt. Solomon's influence spread across the region, and many believe his prisons are still being found in the Mediterranean and Red Sea. Prisons like the containers that he trapped the jinn in, the Merid jinn. So, yeah.
Wouldn't want to rub on that bottle or open that up,
Yeah, I think towards the end, I was like, if you find a bottle on the beach, don't rub it. Leave it alone. Throw it back in the ocean. especially if it's got a geometric shape on top. That's another thing I wanted to research further. The geometric shape. What was the significance? Was it like the geometric, the sacred geometry kind of stuff, or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm. So
Right,
there's.
like Metatron's cube shape.
Mhm. So then my last talking point here was a Kareen. I could be saying it wrong. There's a legend that says humans are born with a Kareen, a Djinn double, assigned to humans at birth. What are your
Oh,
thoughts?
isn't there a Fae story about that? Like
Hmm.
there's the changeling Fae,
Right,
um,
right.
where they steal a baby and they replace it with a
Mm-hmm.
Fae doppelganger. Wow, that's
Something like
crazy.
that. Yeah.
But also, like our
And
story, like we're all born each with an archangel. You know, it's like a different place has the same story
again, there's
in that
probably
sense.
really
You
only
know,
7 real topics, and every culture has just recycled them and shuffled them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But
which
that's.
points to that it's true. We are each born with something
Mhm.
etheric that goes
Mhm.
with us. It could be our soul, or maybe it could be a guardian or guide. That's an
Mhm.
interesting topic to talk about.
I mean, look at people that are really terrible in the world, right? Could they have been born with an influence that was not so desirable? And that's why they've led a life of terror, I mean, possibly. Maybe
Could
some of
be.
us have angels, some of us have a Jinn. I think I have evil fairies that, do things. Oh, you know what's crazy
Yelling too.
today? Right? No, today I was walking down the hallway at work and a hummingbird came at me. I thought it was going to hit me in my
Oh,
face.
cool.
And it made the weirdest. I did not know hummingbirds squeaked. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Never
Yep.
heard them squeak.
It's like a
It came right at me, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what the hell's gonna happen here?" And then it
cool.
got like really close, and it stopped, and it squeaked, and then it took off. I'm like,
Yep.
"What the hell was that?" Like, I'm telling you, like ghetto Snow White over here.
That's cute.
It's not. It's
I'm
not.
always scared. Like, are you guys gonna poke my eyes out?
Right? It's not this like wonderful, experience with the creatures and the animals around me. They're like they choose violence. Like
Because of California.
I could be the location I'm in. The starlings here, the birds, they're so noisy. It was pouring rain the other day, and I'm walking the halls at work. I have to be outside, and something like out of the corner of my eye zooms by. I'm like, what the hell was that? So I stop and I'm looking in the bushes. I'm like, oh God, don't tell me it was a rat. No, it's a bunch of starlings. They're going in and out of the bushes, and it's pouring rain.
Oh.
I
Oh,
am. They're. I guess they're
Hmm.
like one of those birds that are just mischievous. I don't know.
Hmm.
They all gather in a tree, and there's like hundreds of them, and they're so loud, like a party, like a bird rave. It's just insane. Oh yeah, right. You should. I have to record it. Maybe I have. I'll have to send it to you. It's crazy. It's so loud. You're like, what the hell? And there's hundreds of them on the dead branches because there's no leaves right now. It's winter. Anyway,
I love birds.
I do too. But these guys they're little menaces. So anyway, anything else on the gin? I think I walked through my talking points.
No, I think it was a good discussion and a great opening, and I'm interested to learn more about the tribes as you further your investigation.
I think that
Yeah, the differences.
definitely, definitely do. Each time I do a gin episode, it'll be about one of the different tribes. So
Hey, Chelsea, do you remember talking to that native friend of yours? And we were talking, I was telling him the story about the eel thing, and he had a word that you guys were talking about, kind of like shadow balls, like seeing that go across the highway and stuff like that. And he had a word in Tohono Autumn, and I don't remember what that was, but it sounds like what we're talking about. I
mm,
wonder what that is. So we'll have to dig into that.
Yeah, and he seemed to be kind of scared of it.
Yeah.
interesting. Um, oh, So my next episode coming up is the episode on Sherry Shriner. You guys know who she is?
Who's that?
She was a cult leader, a reptilian cult leader.
Oh, interesting.
She, I mean, she wasn't so off the rails. Like, I felt like a lot of what she was talking about was kind of legit, but then she, I don't know, just went sideways. Um, she believed that there were reptilian aliens on the earth, which I agree, there probably are. I think there's probably more than one type of alien on the earth, right? I mean,
Mm.
Our friend, mine and Gordon's friend, he actually has this like binder of sorts of things he's put together of like I guess UFOs that have been sanctioned
mm,
by the military, but also he has an interview in there of one of the reptilians.
mm,
Did you read it at all, Gordon?
Yeah, I read as much as I could that night, but without stealing it from Braden and like
Yeah,
thinking,
it was pretty
I'm taking this home, man.
interesting.
so
Gordon
we
could
had,
probably reach out and send that to you because
Yeah,
the
you know what?
information was really
I could
interesting.
connect you guys because
yeah, definitely,
he's an interesting dude. Is
yeah, have him on.
crazy interesting to talk to.
Um, um, we had Michael Selig on, MD Selig, who is the author of Hush a couple weeks ago. Netflix producer, Amazon producer, an author, I think best selling author. In his book, he wrote it as fiction, but you remember he talked about like his military times. He basically it's a true story. So I've read it and it is mind blowing. The things that really are happening, the aliens that are really here. He calls the world order the cabal, which is exactly what that word means in a sense. um, but we are already, if that's accurate, we are already engaged with alien races and have been for many, many years. So if anybody wants to check that out, I think you can find that book on Amazon. Hush, Gordon, it's in the Kindle if you want to read it.
Hey, let's just shout out
Mm.
your late your shows, the recent ones that you've been doing. You've had some great guests.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I think
JD.
J.D. Barker. He's an author of many, many best-selling books, but my favorite was Dracul. He wrote that with Bram Stoker's grandson, so that was really cool. Can you imagine working with the Stoker family?
Dude, that's cool.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you not say no? How do you
Yeah,
not say
yeah,
yes? Like
yeah. No, you have to.
you're gonna say yes.
Okay. Then of course my definite favorite was J.D. Barker because I'm a huge fan. Always was a huge fan of him. And then my next favorite was definitely M.D. Selig. I feel like I learned from him more than anything. I felt like I don't know, like the universe put that in front of me because I needed to hear certain things, and he said them, and I went, "There's the light bulb," you know. Then Dr. Yafi, she channels Hathor, the Egyptian. Um, I can't think the goddess.
Got it.
Yeah,
Goddess,
the
yeah.
cow goddess. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so some really great ones that we've had on. I have a psychic coming on next month, so that'll be very interesting to hear her perspective on things. She's a pretty well known psychic, so it'll be kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't have anything. I don't remember any other guest ones that stand out, but a few of them.
You know the thing I like about your regular shows, they're small enough, and you distill them down to a digestible half hour or whatever. But then
Mhm.
there's those interviews like JD Barker, and I'm like, I want more. Like I want it to go a
He
lot
goes for
longer, you
like an
know?
hour. Well, his the interviews with the guests there always go well over an hour, but the my story writing shows I work full time, so it's really hard to sit down and do the research and write. Like I said, I have like my headphone in my ear and I'm listening to audio research. Like I set my phone to read it to me because I can't. But it's kind of strange. It's like trying to hear about ancient texts with a Siri kind of voice.
Mm.
You know, it's strange. Uh, but it's hard. So the Sherry Shriner episode will be well over 30 minutes. kind of have segments and different music all throughout it. So again, I don't think she was too off, but she became a little unhinged. So
Hmm.
kind of convincing people that everybody around them was an evil reptilian lord and you should trust no one, and it just made some of the weakest people even weaker, if that makes sense. And
Mm.
it
Yeah.
led to a trail of bodies. People started dying. So like,
Wow.
yeah, so again,
Really? That
where she
happening in a cult. Go figure.
right, but how she started out was kind of like made sense. It was the beginning of the
Hmm.
internet. She was, out there learning the internet. Like a lot of us were. Like I grabbed on really easily, had a degree quickly, did web design. I mean, everything you see on Unexplained Realms, I've designed it, I've created it, I code the website. Going back for another computer degree now so I can learn some good old Python scripting. And yeah, so she kind of figured out the internet early and then used it like platform. She had a forum, she had all these
Wow.
websites. But again, when you attract people into a cult environment, you know exactly what you're attracting. You're
Yeah.
attracting people that are not really, they're kind of weak. So when you keep pushing that stuff on them, bad things happen. Murder, suicide, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So this one will be a longer episode. I feel like she deserved that kind of, not because she was a good person, but because like the story can't be told in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like Vampira, hers was a lot longer as well because her story couldn't be told in 10 minutes. Just takes me a lot longer. I think we lost all our guests or our people. I think only the director is still watching.
I've got some people chimed in. We got some
Yeah.
live watchers.
Yep. Let's go ahead and end the stream and we'll chat off camera. Yeah.
Cool,
Be nice.
cool.
All right. Thanks
Well,
for
thanks for
joining.
hanging out, you.
Bye bye.